I'm Jason and welcome to my channel, and today we're going to talk about what happens if the economy crashes. Now first, I want you to understand I don't think we're near an economic collapse right now, but I do think we're going into a recession. I'm no economist, but if you look at the signs around us, it seems like a recession is on the horizon. But what would happen if the economy crashed? The best way to think about this is to think about the Great Depression, because that's essentially what happened. Right now we have a lot more stuff that's online. So if there was a total economic collapse, probably you would lose access to credit, probably banks would fail. If it hit local governments, municipalities might fail. Supply and demand, there would be a lot more demand than there would supply for things, and it would cause inflation to kick into hyperinflation. And hyperinflation is like, if inflation's going like this, hyperinflation is going like that. So you can look back to like Weimar Germany or Venezuela, all experienced hyperinflation. And so if there was a collapse, that's the kind of stuff that you would be looking for. And that's why it's funny, you watch those shows like about preppers and stuff, and it's like, man, they're crazy. And then at the same time, you're thinking, well, they might be right. What are some of the things that you can do to prepare for that? Well, the first thing that you can do is pray. No matter what you believe, you need to pray that we don't have an economic collapse, because unlike the Great Depression, right now, if there was an economic collapse, it would cause panic worldwide. And the thing about financial markets is they tend to feed off of themselves, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if people start pulling money out of the market, it started to happen, but there hasn't been panic yet. When there's panic, see, when people are still thinking clearly, they think, well, the market's gonna recover, it's gonna go back up. If I pull my money out now, I lose money because I'm down on stocks. But if I keep my money in play, then when it recovers, I'll be back in a good position. And that's what the Fed wants people to do. So they're never going to announce that an economic collapse is coming. They're never going to announce anything because they don't want to ensue panic. They want to keep people from panicking because, like I said, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Panic feeds on panic. That's one of the things that would happen. I was talking to a guy in a chat room who lived through Venezuela. And he said what people don't realize is when we go into hyperinflation and things get really bad, everything closes because it no longer makes sense to go to work. For example, if milk goes up to $20,000 a gallon because the value of the dollar has just been destroyed so much, well, if it cost you $20,000 for a gallon of milk and you only make, say, $5,000 a month, why go to work? And so what happens is everything starts to close. You know, banks close, businesses close, but what people don't realize is, like, during hyperinflation like that, schools close, medical offices close, dentist office closes. I mean, all those people are earning a living. If it doesn't make sense to earn a living, then they're going to close. Now, I'm in education, not just YouTube education, but also traditional education. So if it got to the point where it didn't make sense for me to go to work, I'm not going to go to work, and neither are any of the teachers, or neither are anybody else. So all those kids are coming home. So you have to plan for something. He said the best thing to do, it's good to have gold and silver, those retain value. It's good to have land, it's good to have real estate, all that retains value. But the best thing he said that people did was to have chickens that lay eggs, because eggs can be traded. If you have something that you can trade during an economic collapse, that's gonna be your key to getting things in your house. If milk's $20,000 a gallon, if you buy it, what is it if you have a friend that has a cow that produces milk and you have eggs? Or maybe you have a cow or even a goat that produces milk, and you can trade that for something. But eggs are very easy to trade because you can, I've got one egg and I'll give it to you for this widget. Or I've got 5 eggs and I'll give it to you for this widget. Or you've got 10 of these widgets that I want and those are worth 2 eggs to me. See, you can manipulate it. Or you need some work done. Like, I'll give you 5 eggs a week to come maintain my yard. Now, you're probably not going to be worried about maintaining your yard in that case or in that situation, but you might have to have some labor done at some point that you don't understand. Maybe you don't know how to do plumbing or electricity or something like that. If those services are still working and you want to get them done but you can't afford it, you might be able to trade to somebody that has the skills, maybe a neighbor or something. That's one way you can prepare. Another way you can prepare is to build relationships within your community, because you may not be able to drive all over the place and go very far. So if you live in a neighborhood or you live in a community, build some of those relationships so that number one, it's kind of for protection, because if you know your neighbors and you're friends with your neighbors, they're not necessarily going to be as much of a threat, and you can protect each other. You can keep an eye on things, keep an eye on each other's property, keep an eye out for any shady stuff that's going on. This is a short video, but I suggest you watch my next video, which is all about why you do not want the government to start printing stimulus checks. We do not want a stimulus check for inflation, because in countries that have had hyperinflation, part of inflation is, well, you know what? I'll tell you on the next video.